Hi, I'm Tyler Folse. I'm a nuclear engineer with a little over 10 years of commercial nuclear plant experience, from engineering to operation to emergency response to capital projects. I don't claim to know everything there is nuclear, but I can certainly share some knowledge. If you have any suggestions of future videos you would like me to react to, please let me know down in the comments. If you like this video, please hit the like button and hit the subscribe button to find out when more videos are coming. If you didn't like this video, please let me know down in the comments. I'm always trying to get better. Today we're going to be looking at a fight in a nuclear plant from a first-person shooter game called Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. You play as a team of mercenaries fighting terrorists, and the terrorists are doing something bad at a nuclear plant, either taking it over or maybe attempting to sabotage it or something. But anyway, your job as the mercenary is to kill the bad guys and save the day. Let's take a look. This is set in the near future. Looks like they're bombing the entrance, some of the administrative buildings first, and then the cooling towers. None of which are really strategically important locations of the plant. I mean, if they're terrorizing people, sure, but not exactly critical aspects of the plant. So not only are the terrorists trying to cause a meltdown, they've apparently fortified this place. They need to work on their goals. I'm not a military strategist, but garrisoning the place you're about to destroy isn't exactly the best strategy. Attempting to trigger a critical event. So criticality, what that really means in the context of a nuclear plant is steady state operation. You're critical when the number of neutrons going in is the same as the number of neutrons coming out. The net result of your fission is 0, and you're holding at whatever power level you're at. In this scenario, you would definitely be shut down in the event of a hostile takeover, terrorist attack, whatever you call this. So critical event, no, that does not mean the same thing as they're trying to sabotage the place. So this group of mercenaries somehow have access to critical reactor monitoring equipment, even though they're not reactor operators. I guess it's possible the company could have given it to their mercenary group, but there's a zillion cybersecurity rules about this sort of thing. Looking at fuel temperature, overheating warning. You wouldn't look at individual rods to tell you that. You typically look at flow from the core exit as far as what your temperature is. Also, they're not showing a number in degrees. And I'm curious as to why only those rods are overheating and the rest of them are not. Usually it's more uniformly distributed than that. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
What the hell just happened?
Console's still.
This is a very modern depiction of a control room. Usually, the ones I'm used to usually have a bunch of old-looking analog meters and pistol grip switches. This is all touchscreen. It looks pretty cool, nice and futuristic.
Patch in and run diagnostics.
Get on that console. Prophet, you got this?
Copy.
Now they're doing the job of reactor operators. I don't buy that mercenaries are trained to diagnose and assess and do what you need to do to put the reactor in a safe condition. Reactor operators are trained for 18 to 24 months to do just that.
We're seeing what you're
Full chapter maintaining. Got the coolant. Good. Levels are dropping.
The steam release line's been cut off.
Stay with us a second ago. Primary route.
Core temperature is critical. Abort.
Steam release line and core temperature critical. Okay. Core temperature being critical, that's not a thing. There are action levels when in an emergency shutdown scenario where core temperature gets too high and your actions are basically to activate safety injection systems and cool it off, keep it cooled, covered, and properly reactive. These systems automatically actuate to do that, and there are backup systems for that in case one individual system fails. The nuclear plant that I worked at had 3 independent safety systems. One of them by itself would save the day, and we had 3 of them. And then there are even further extreme emergency systems that even if all 3 of those fail, then you get to use those. There are all kinds of design margin in nuclear power plants. Getting here would be almost impossible. Now, granted, these terrorists really sabotaged it on purpose, but they would have to do a lot more to get to this point than I believe what is shown on screen.
We have a level 7 event. Withdraw from the area now.
Level 7 is not a thing. Yeah. I can't think of anything that level 7 would refer to. There are 4 levels of nuclear emergencies. Yeah, I don't know what level 7 means.
Oh, shit.
Going critical. This is one of the big misconceptions again. Going critical just means you're starting up the reactor. That would be a good thing. You're just starting it and everything's good. I believe the misconceptions around critical mass, which is used in weapons rather than reactors, and that's enough mass to make a bomb and make the bomb be effective. Yeah, I've seen this in a lot of other aspects of fiction. Going critical has nothing to do with fuel damage or a quote-unquote meltdown. So these guys just give up. They don't want to try to activate any of the myriad backup systems. Probably because they don't know how, because again, they're mercenaries that aren't trained to do this. This team probably should have had these guys just clear out the way of bad guys and get people who are qualified to safely shut down the reactor come in right behind them and have these guys guard them. That would be a more realistic mission, but oh well. Also, the plant would do a fairly good job taking care of itself, since all of these emergency systems are designed to operate without operator action, especially a next generation super modern nuclear plant like what this is trying to be depicted as, it would be even safer than modern nuclear plants. Pressure explosions. So yes, these things occurred during the Chernobyl accident as a result of what's actually called prompt criticality, which is when the reactor becomes so reactive that it causes nuclear reactions to basically run out of control to the point where overpressurization, overtemperature events start happening, and these are very, very quick events. First, they were talking about fuel damage and temperature, and now we're talking about stuff cut straight from Chernobyl. There was a lot of design flaws with the Chernobyl reactor, including, for one, it not having a proper containment building. You couldn't recreate this in a modern nuclear plant, and certainly not a futuristic one where they would have so many additional safety systems put in place to prevent something like this from ever happening. Maybe I'll do a further video about explaining what prompt criticality really is and what criticality really is, because they clearly gave in to that misconception. Well, these guys didn't do very good on their mission, probably because they didn't have qualified personnel to safely shut down the reactor in this case. It's a shame. Overall, this game looks great. I love their futuristic control room depiction. It looked really cool. I kind of wish I had that when I was a shift supervisor. But they delve into the misconceptions on what critical is, what prompt critical is, how they can go from talking about an overheating event to basically a Chernobyl type scenario. Yeah, there were a lot of things wrong with this. Moral of the story is get the people with the right training to do the job and save the day. Otherwise, these guys might have won. These mercenaries might have been successful. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.